Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Rhonda. This is my beautiful daughter-in-law, Gabi,
Hello.
who married my awesome son, Daniel. Daniel's away for the weekend with some friends. Nick, who's getting married, so they're at a bachelor's weekend. And because they're out of town, Gabi called me and said, hey. Maybe not like that, it was through text. So she said, hey, if you need any help organizing your closet and your clothes, I'm in town for the weekend and would love to help you. To which I said, yes. So, and then since we started our first Facebook Live yesterday, I couldn't help but think it'd be awesome to have us do one together. Forget organizing the closet. Let's do this, then go get a pedicure, and then go to the beach.
Yeah.
Maybe not in that order.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing, and the rest of my kids are all out of town, so it's just us on the back porch, and I hope you can hear the beautiful sounds of birds tweeting.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have some questions for us, just type them in there, and we would love to answer things related to really mother and daughter relationships, mother and daughter-in-law kind of relationships. We would love to share our expertise, and we would like to continue on with being transparent with you to a degree. You know what I'm saying? So just in the opening story that I started with here, I said something that has contributed towards us having a really wonderful relationship. Put hearts on that screen right there if you like it. I understand that's what you're supposed to do. Heart, 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 heart. Get them floating across the screen. So anyway, Gabi, one of the things that you saw from the opening story is that she's very intentional. She likes to help me, and I ask for help. And so that's a way to build a friendship and a relationship there, is me as the mother-in-law observing many of the strengths that she has and complimenting her freely for it. So there's not a competitive spirit. There's really an acknowledgement of how God's created her uniquely and beautifully, and recognizing different weaknesses that I have and inviting her in to help me. And like I said, she's such a cute dresser and so stylish, and that's my goal in life. So I aspire to be Gabi. And so I've told her that I'd love her help with shopping and everything. So that's just an area that she's offered to help me in, so thank you.
You're welcome.
So write any questions that you have. In the meantime, we're just going to be talking about this, but this is incredible. We have 12 viewers. So thanks for being with us. So what else do you think has contributed, Gabi, to a sweet friendship that we have?
I think that something that's been really cool has been how intentional Miss Rhonda has always been with me, and like she said, inviting me in and all of that. But also, you know, like just growing up and everything, you kind of hear stories like, oh, I don't like my mother-in-law, or we don't really get along, or, you know, all these different things. And I'm just so thankful and grateful that that's never been kind of, you know, what my experience is. But that happened, I think, because you were so intentional early on to invite me in, to, you know, have me over. And I've just learned so much, you know, from Miss Rhonda, and that, you know, I wouldn't have if you had not been so intentional from the get-go, I think, to just invite me over and help me.
Well, I'm going to agree with her. But the flip side also is important. Gabi, as I've been intentional to invite you in, you've come in. You've been intentional to give back. So, you know, here, if you know our family, you know, we like to have people over. We like to do things for people. And Gabi just steps up to the plate and says, if she knows we have an event here, even if she's not, you know, she and her husband live in their own place now, if she knows about an event, she'll just say, hey, I'm free that night, can I help? And so you've been intentional to give back. And another, I mean, just so many different examples I can think of when younger sisters who are now 10th and 12th grade, my girls, have gone to the prom or different events. We've, you know, we recognize strengths that Gabi has, as I've already mentioned it, and we've said, Gabi, can you come do their hair and their makeup? So you've given back to us I know there's a lot of mother-in-laws out there that would love this kind of relationship, and maybe they've tried and they've put in effort, but it takes the daughter-in-law reciprocating and showing that they value the relationship and like giving of their talents back to the mother-in-law. And you've done that. You've helped me with my girls. You've helped me with different like accessories for outfits and helped cook, and it's just been neat. I think that's a huge part of having a good relationship. Now, if you are in a relationship with the mother-in-law or you're the daughter-in-law, you can't continue to be discouraged that it's not reciprocated, because as the Bible tells us, it's our responsibility to be at peace with all men, and that means for you to continue to give with no expectations of anything in return in that relationship. God's called us to continue to see through His perspective, which is to give, to serve, to do, to bless, to pray for, to be kind. And we're just so blessed that it's a mutual relationship. But I wanted to encourage you. You may be crying out like that's the thing you want more than anything is a sweet relationship. Just continue to give with no expectations. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And I saw that someone asked how they can best pray for their future daughter-in-law, however that may be. Do you have any perspective on that?
First of all, congratulations on eyesight to be able to read that and also multitask, because I see things popping up and I'm not the best at being able to do two things at once. So, but I also have a bad memory. What'd you say? May I also say she loves unconditionally. She accepts this brain problem that I tend to have, and she probably is exhausted with it sometimes in her heart, but she just repeats the question to me. You know what it was?
It was, how can you pray for your future daughter-in-law even if you don't know who it is?
Okay.
And then I'm going to write down that next question.
That's a really good question. I think praying for your daughter-in-law to really have, to have mentors in her life, to have attributes of Christ, to really pursue Christ is the aim, because it's her heart, just like God chases us and He wants our heart. That's what we want for our son, our daughter, and our in-laws. We want them to be in love with God. So that's the aim of it. And then asking God what we can do. Again, we shouldn't pray, help her to see how that hurt me, but help me to love her. So show me what I can do, Lord, to invest fully without any conditional love, just unconditionally love her. Say that question one more time, because I had a second avenue of an idea that was really important, and I forgot what it was.
It was, how can you best pray for your future daughter-in-law, even if you don't know who it is yet?
Okay.
Or, like, whoever that may be, I think was the...
Well, I lost it, and it was really going to be a great idea, too. I'm going to grab a pen, because apparently I'm going to need that to keep track of my thoughts. So,
and then I think there was another question of, I think it was what was, to me, it was what was invested in you early on as a future daughter-in-law that has caused you to invest in others. And I think it was really just seeing how intentional from the beginning Miss Rhonda was, and that made me want to be more intentional with others. Like, I can remember specifically in college, just with friendships there, not planning too many classes for myself, like back to back to back, so that I could intentionally get to know the girls in my house. And I don't know that I would have ever really thought of that had I not seen, how intentional she was in our friendship and really getting to know me, and, not just having deep conversations all the time, but really laughing together and enjoying each other's company, and, just doing fun things together, as well as the deep conversation aspect of it. So it really, truly became a true friendship, not just, oh, we don't really talk about much, or or your husband just went behind the door.
We'll replay that and see if we can find that.
So that's just one thing that I can think of. Just really, truly caring about people and caring to know who they are, what they like, really getting to know them, not just on a surface level, but on a deep level as well.
And I can show you how good I am at that. I don't mean to brag, but she's been, that means I'm about to share something that incriminates myself when I say that. So she and Daniel have liked each other for a very long time, and years. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the last few months where we had somebody over and they were talking about salads, and this guy said he didn't like salads, and Gabi said, I don't either, and I stopped in my tracks because she doesn't like red meats either. And so anytime we would have that in our home for dinner, I would be intentional to make a salad for her. So all these years later, I discover she does not care for most salads. So study. I think studying your future in-law as they're dating, like studying them, noticing, like you said, their strengths, weaknesses, the things they enjoy, the meals they like, the drinks that they like. Yeah. Just really appreciating them for who they are and encompassing that in how you operate your home. Like if they like Diet Coke and you don't have any, go get a case of Diet Coke so that when they're over, you can say that. She doesn't like Diet Coke, but I do. So get that in your home, woman. But I did think of the other the part of that question that I think is so important, and I think maybe unique to many relationships. Gabi, when you and Daniel were dating, and part of the role that I took in that was observing you and all of the ways that God created you, some fears that I saw that you had, some insecurities that you had, as well as, like I've mentioned, so many different strengths. And I felt like my role in loving my son well and in loving you well was behind the scenes, teaching Daniel to study his future bride, even before they were engaged, to study her. And my role became, as he got older, it became mentoring, coaching him, coming alongside of him to know how you are in and out and come alongside you to help you. Like I remember one time saying, that Daniel, this is an area that is overwhelming for her. It's an insecurity you see coming out. Right. Daniel, one of the best things you can do for her in that situation is, well, one of the things was you were planning a big event, which is so funny. Look how good you are now at events. Ah. And Gabi was stressed about, I'm thinking about a New Year's party maybe. Yeah. It was an event she was doing, and you could see that she was just overwhelmed, and some details, got left off, from whatever, that happens a lot. But I said, Daniel, know how Gabi operates and what she needs right now. Just go over to her in the midst of getting ready for this event. Hold her. Just embrace her, calm her down, just through your hug, and just say, it's going to be okay. I can help. What can we do to help? And so to know that about her is really such a beautiful thing. And I think that's a great thing in a relationship, is teaching our own child not to resent things about whoever, but how to work with it. Not that he did resent it. I don't know that he would have noticed, is my point. Right. and how to be a loving husband and encouragement and all. So, anyway, I think that's a sweet, sweet thing about it. So we've talked about time together. We've talked about being intentional in each other's relationship, both ways. Right. And in other words, also the daughter-in-law can observe the mother-in-law to be, it doesn't have to be when you get married, but in the process of dating, even before you're engaged, just notice what the mom's like, and do things for her. Bring desserts. You did that a lot. You'd come over and you bring lime cookies. Key lime cookies. My favorite, because she observed that. She made note that I said I loved them, and then she would bring that over. So intentionally both ways, and different talents and skills. Observe that and freely compliment. Do you feel like some mother-in-laws and daughters-in-law actually are competitive? Yeah. That is so very sad to me, and I think one way to counter that is by freely by observing strengths and freely complimenting. When you do that, you're not holding anything in like, I wish I was more like that. That's not fair. She's good at that.
Right. And I think it'll actually cause you to change your heart towards that person. You know, once you start freely giving compliments and, you know, and just being free to share and stuff like that.
Hashtag perspective shift. Right? Yeah. When your perspective changes to giving to that person, to encouraging that person by speaking words of true words of things you've observed in them, of affirmation, then the relationship deepens because there's a trust.
Right.
And that's another thing I want to bring up. Oh, look at all those hearts. Good point. Let me see if I can get it up. So, see, I forgot what I was going to say.
The trust.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing that I've watched develop. It's so beautiful to me, Gabi, is my heart is safe with you. And how many relationships that are watching today long for that?
Right.
But some ways that's developed is when you share something with me, I hope you know, it goes nowhere. It's not shared with anybody. It's actually not even shared with my husband. I know people have different opinions about that, but she shared it with me, not with my husband. And so it's just safe. And also part of being safe, as we talked about in the video yesterday, is I'm not judging as I'm hearing.
Right.
I'm just a listening ear. But then what I've seen happen, Gabi, is I've seen the role reversal and a beautiful, it's like a mentoring relationship that turns. Yeah. And then there's a mutual friendship that's so precious, where I ask you for advice a lot of times. And let me tell you this other important thing about that. Gabi has given me some great advice, and it has rocked my world. She said it in a loving way, but it was truth that I needed to hear. And for example, remember when we were setting up for an event? I guess we do that a lot together. And I was sharing with her about all this stuff, like processing it aloud to a safe place. And I said, Gabi, I just feel like maybe I've allowed my younger kids to rule the house more than I realized. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
She was probably waiting to say that. And do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead and say it.
I think I said something along the lines of, you know, from observing your older kids to your younger kids, I can see how there's been like a gradual little shift, you know, going on, and there is truth to it, and to an extent, you know, not that it was out of control, but to an extent, you know. Right. And did it hurt? Yeah, I didn't walk away like, I actually was like startled, just stunned. One of those things where it's quiet, because I was like, I needed that. That was the one, and she said it just like one sentence. I think it was something like, from the outside looking in, I believe that might be true. That one thing that so in other words, in a relationship, welcome the eyes from different perspectives, because they allow us to grow, they reveal blind spots we have, and they can set our feet back on the right path. And I remember coming home and going, boot camp is starting around this house. I've let you girls control things, and not in a terrible way, but in a way where if they want to do something, I might go, all right, just because, but I needed to step up and make changes. And usually when that happens, everybody, it's not so much the girls need to change as the parents need to go ahead and set the law down and enforce it and be consistent and all that. And we began to make those changes, but it was our conversation and her truthfulness. Not, you didn't go, oh, I know, I can't believe all that. Right. You spoke truth into my life. That's a beautifully godly, deep relationship. And then piggybacking off of that, I think that because you created a safe space, you know, from the beginning, and more so as we became closer and have become closer, I think that, you know, that has welcomed me to feel comfortable and safe to share, you know, sometimes what I'm truly feeling, even if it's sometimes hard to hear, and I think you share some things also with me that, you know, I need to hear, and that it's, you know, obviously not done in an ugly way, but done in love and in truth, and I think that that's kind of a mutual exchange that happens when there's trust.
So let me ask this, Gabi, because I think this applies to relationships far beyond just mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships, but everything.
For sure.
If I would have come back at you with any rebuttal, with anger, with ignoring you, with pouting, with any words or signals that was not welcome and appreciated, what would that have done to future correspondence? Perhaps blind spots you see that you long to tell me because you love me. What would that have done to our relationship as far as the freedom to speak?
There probably would have never been another exchange, another truth, you know, that I would
trust.
Right.
So if I would have said, Gabi, in the future, had I not responded with, I needed that, in the future when I said, please tell me, would you have trusted my words? No. I
would have trusted your actions.
Yes.
Sure.
So moms out there wanting to get to the heart of your own children, not even in-laws, that's something that's a really important thing to note, is if you want to know how they're truly feeling and how we provoke them to wrath even, then pray about it for a long time so that your heart is prepared to ask them, and then you listen to their response without any defensive mechanisms or justifications or anything like that. Let them speak, and then examine if there's any truth to that. Then you are creating, by doing that over and over again, I see some hearts, keep them coming. But by doing that time and time again, where your children's true feelings and heart can be shown to you and expressed to you without condemnation or justification, time and time again, you're creating that safe, beautiful space in that relationship. And I think that's worth fighting for, is hearts safe at home. And that's really one of Cultivating a Home's biggest messages, is mentoring women to impact hearts and homes for Christ. So it starts with us as the adults, the parents, creating that safe environment. So, but I value that you spoke truth into my life. It rocked my world. I see Nancy Smith join. Hi, Nancy. Nancy, you've been like that in my life too, in Creative Memories, and you're a great friend like that. Hi, Dawn. Hi, everybody joining. Put a heart on there, you know. Hi. Okay, so let's see. We've talked. Why don't you mention about that? Just throwing out there something fun that we've done to encourage families to be close together, because we've seen so many families that get married and they're not close. They don't even know each other. And that happens, of course, where you're from different cities or states. That's going to be, of course, the case. But you can still be intentional to get to know each other. But here's one thing that we've done.
So something that we've kind of done throughout the years is have both of our families over for like a date night or a game night or movie night, you know, something where our whole families are coming together and spending time together and just hanging out and having fun, and, you know, very casual, and everyone's just laughing and getting along and being silly, and, you know, that whole thing, which has really been a fun dynamic.
It has been. We've even gone bowling together. And another thing is, it's not just activities together, but when Daniel, her husband, my son, when he had cancer last year, one of the first things that we did was we went to her house so that her mom and dad and brother, her younger brother, we sat together in their den, explained, Daniel and I did, explained what was happening about the cancer. Daniel shared, because I think it's important that we teach our children to be transparent, to allow people inside the journey. Otherwise, people are going to be scared to talk about cancer. And I'm not saying broadcast it to the world, but within different settings, let's create a safe place for that. So we went over there. We wanted her family to be right in with how our family was going to walk through this journey together. Do you remember that? Maybe share anything you think about that experience.
So that was huge, because, you know, obviously when hearing really difficult news, you don't really know how you're going to go about it yet, because that's kind of the first time that you're going through something so serious and so difficult. So kind of starting off through the intentionality that Daniel and Miss Rhonda had to come over and kind of, you know, just create that safe space once again, open it up to, you know, whoever wanted to say something. Let's talk about our fears. Let's talk about, you know, how we're really feeling. Let's talk about, you know, if we're angry, let's talk about if we're, you know, let's talk through all of that. But then let's always remember that God is bigger and that He has a plan and all of that. So that was kind of like the first, and then I think that was kind of the birthplace of us all wanting to get together and then pray over Daniel as two families coming together, you know, as one, and that was still, I mean, one of the most powerful, sweetest times I think I've ever had, and everyone was, you know, free to cry, free to, you know, feel however they wanted to feel at that moment. And
yeah. But we all, like, when we were at your house, I thought it was neat that this part wasn't intentional, that I can look back and see how good God was to allow this to happen. We talked about it, but we landed on, but God. But God is sovereign. He's not surprised by this. We're going to learn what we can. We know God's in the business of doing incredible things. We're going to trust this is His gift to grow us, and we can see so many ways He did that. But we landed on, this is how our family is going to walk through this together, and that created a bond of together we did, and all. And then when we came over here the next night and we prayed together, we just put hands on Daniel and tears, you know, crying, and it was just a really sweet relationship. And I know Amelia is on here. Hi, Amelia. And she was a friend from Brazil that was in town at that time and prayed with us, as did a couple of our son's college friends were living with us at the time. And they just, we didn't push them aside. We trusted God is sovereign. He knows these men are in our house right now. Come pray with us. So, you know, just a little side note is trust God's journey. And trust where He has you at that time. God cares about us, and He just, the ways that He goes about growing us look quite different than we would actually, we would actually like. Okay. You have anything you want to add? Any questions before we tie this up? Tie this up?
Wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up. So we talked about time together, being intentional both ways, studying each other's, the way each other's made, and coming alongside, helping strengths and helping weaknesses, being real with each other, speaking truth into each other's life, date night, praying for each other, teaching the son how to study his future bride so that he can come alongside and cherish her, be the strength, be the nurturer, and encourage her in pursuing her dreams, all that, learning from each other, advice reciprocated, and how the friendship grows with that. And really, those are just some of the things that come to our mind in a short period of time of why I feel like we have a very, very special relationship. And I love you.
I love you too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Pass this video on to your friends. Woohoo!